Hi friends of decent fretboard animations. Today let's look at how to construct triads on the second string set. Here's a G major triad. It consists of the root labeled 1, the major third labeled 3 and the fifth labeled 5. If you are familiar with bar chords, you will notice that this relates to the E shape. Back to the triad. Now let's convert the major triad into a minor triad. We can do this by lowering the third to a minor third. Another important chord is the diminished chord. We create this by lowering the fifth of the minor triad. Back to the major triad. The suspended triad is also very common in popular music. We create this by raising the third to the fourth. Back to the major triad. And finally we have the augmented triad, less common, but you should know it when needed. We create this by raising the fifth. The G augmented triad nicely resolves into C minor. Let's move on to the next inversion. Again we have a G major triad. If you are familiar with bar chords, you'll notice that this relates to the C shape. Back to the major triad. Let's make it a minor triad. Let's make it a diminished triad. Back to the major triad. Now let's make it a suspended triad. Back to the major triad. And finally let's make it an augmented triad. This time, let's resolve it to G sharp minor. Let's move on to the last inversion. Again we have a G major triad. If you are familiar with bar chords, you'll notice that this relates to the A shape. Back to the major triad. Let's make it a minor triad. Let's make it a diminished triad. Back to the major triad. Now let's make it a suspended triad. Back to the major triad. And finally let's make it an augmented triad. And just for fun, let's resolve it to E minor. That's it. Thanks for watching. If you find this useful, please press the like button and subscribe. If you like, you can buy me a coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/ankajazz.